Welcome to the Bourbon Friday Show. We're talking business and bourbon. I'm your host, Nick Niehaus, and I'm talking to Austin Smith, who is the CEO of Mission Control. So Austin, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Glad to be talking to you. So let's talk about Mission Control. What do you guys do?
So Mission Control is a platform for rec league esports. A lot of people have experienced college intramurals or maybe adult beer league kickball or something like that.
Sure.
It's the same idea where it's casual and social.
Okay.
But instead of traditional sports like that, we set up stuff for rec league sports, for rec league esports.
Interesting. Okay. Well, so I'm immediately thinking of indoor soccer. So I played indoor soccer, recreationally for years. Whole family does.
Yeah, I play Thursday nights every night. So we just had a game last night.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I played Thursday nights for a while too. So we'll have to see after the show if we ever played each other.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
So I have that kind of model in mind, right? So here's my first question. Is this something where people are getting together physically? Because obviously with esports, you can play online, right?
Right.
So how does that part work?
Well, you can actually do both, whether it's online or in person. Our platform sets up for both. But I also think it's helpful to define what esports is first. So esports is competitive video gaming. A lot of people play video games, whether it's FIFA or Fortnite. Each of those things, those video games, like you can play individually. Like you can show up to a court and play basketball and just pick up basketball. Well, that's what most people play right now is like pick up Fortnite or pick up FIFA.
Sure, just messing around. Yeah.
Right. What we do is add the organization behind it, just like rec league soccer.
Gotcha.
And that is the organization behind this competitive video gaming thing. And that's what a lot of people are getting excited about. Esports has been all over the news, and what we do is the organization behind it.
Well, so let's talk about esports a little bit longer here because there's some pretty big headlines that I think people have started, average persons maybe starting to see where people are winning millions of dollars in these contests, right? So, I mean, how many people are we talking? Like, this is getting to be a big thing, right? I mean, how many people are actually making money?
Well, it's huge, and I think that the money making aspect is similar to pro sports, where like a very
just the very top
small,
echelon,
the
right?
very top is making money, but it's still exciting. You had 16-year-old Booga made $3 million for winning the Fortnite World Cup. That is twice as much money as Tiger won for winning the Masters.
Holy crap.
So this is big stuff.
Sure.
But you see it on that very low level, which we're in the recreational side, so we care about how many people are just playing for the casual social fun of it. There's 67.9 million people who play traditional team sports in the US.
Okay.
And there's 103 million people who play multiplayer video gaming on an average basis. And that average basis is like 8 hours a week. So think about how big team sports and youth sports is, and think about how much bigger casual video gaming is. It's a huge market.
Yeah, of course. Well, so for people that maybe don't understand, I think that those numbers are pretty self-evident, right? I mean, there's obviously just a ton of attention, a ton of time spent on this. So talk to me about the structure, right? Because I mean, I'm thinking about the indoor soccer because that's what I'm familiar with, right? So are we talking about kind of a league structure, or how does it work?
We focus exclusively on the league structure because we think that is what creates the community behind it, and that's what we're focused on. We care about the community, the casual and social aspect of esports and video gaming, not the competitive side. There's a lot of stuff out there for the competitive side. There's stuff on the professional, amateur, even varsity levels. What we are is below all of that, the recreational side. What we do is there's an online web app that organizations, say, wherever you play rec league soccer at, so like whether it's a YMCA or college intramural department, they can use our web app to host their own esport leagues, whether it's in FIFA, Fortnite, Madden, doesn't matter. They choose through our software. It's a typical league management platform where then they push out those leagues and then people can join those leagues. Those people who join the leagues join from a downloadable mobile app. They basically, from that mobile app, they join the organization that they want, say YMCA's, they join the leagues that they want, say FIFA, and they also, through that is where they register their leagues, they get their schedule, they can reschedule if they want, and find all the details for their entire experience.
Really cool, okay. So it sounds like pretty much any organization can put a league together, right?
It could be any organization. We work with a lot that already do rec leagues.
Of course.
Because it's it's not too far off. Say, hey, just add esports.
Sure.
The fun part is that the ones that we already do rec leagues, the people that we have joining, 48% of them have never played in rec leagues before. So we're giving them access to an entirely new market by saying, hey, also do esports.
Interesting.
But to your point, we can work with any organization. We work with Children's Miracle Network. We work with a couple of other corporations as an amenity and an exciting tool for their community. As and something that can be done over the internet and very easily.
Yeah, sounds really simple. Yeah. So you mentioned the app. So what is how does this come, like digging into that part a little bit, right? So I sign up for a league. Do I just log into my game system and get on my normal account? Does it plug into that? Like how does it track who's playing who and all that?
Sure. Yeah. At this point, it's not connected to your actual end experience.
Okay.
It's almost like a second screen to your gaming experience. It's the organization behind it. It's the group chat behind it. It's not where you actually play the game. In the future, we might be able to connect the validation of the scores and the time of the scores to your Xbox or your PC or whatever that may be. Right now, though, the experience that we offer is completely outside of where you actually play the game.
Okay.
It's the structure and community behind
it's the organization. So you know who you're playing and when and all that kind of stuff, right? Very cool. Okay. Well, so tell me about like what's the most popular game? Like what are you seeing that's kind of picking up?
There's a lot of fluctuation in what's the most popular.
Okay.
We saw like Fortnite was huge like a year or so ago.
Yeah.
Apex became very popular,
Right.
and both of these on our platform. But the most popular for us, and I think because it's a really good small teams game and easy to get on, is Rocket League.
Okay.
Rocket League is essentially rocket-powered car soccer.
Okay.
It's very addicting. I just
Interesting.
highly suggest it, but it's
Interesting,
commonly played 3v3.
All right.
And it's not hard to learn what to do or to get a handle of the controls because it's 3v3 and it's soccer.
Yeah.
So you're playing as a car that has a little boost and it's rocket powered, so that's fun.
Okay.
But it's just soccer, so it's easy to get hold of.
It's real
So
simple,
anybody who wants to start playing games can easily get into that one. That one has been the most popular on our platform.
Interesting. That's really cool. Yeah, it reminds me a lot of I don't know if you ever saw when Burger King was selling Xbox games. So I was in college when this happened. They had 3 different Xbox games they put out. One of them was bumper car hockey. And it was 2-on-2. It wasn't 3-on-3. That sounds better because you could certainly use more players, but it sounds very similar. So I used to play the crap out of that game with my friends. So I get it.
So simple yet so addicting.
Right, yeah. It's like there's literally steer and boost.
And
that was it.
It's a lot of fun to play together too.
Right.
Quite easy to get a hold of. So no, and that's the fun part about that game. And the thing is, like, that's the base, and there's so many more places to go from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so tell me where the idea came from, because obviously esports has been kind of blowing up over the past 5 or 10 years. Is this a completely original idea, or are there competitors out there that exist, or where'd you come up with the idea?
Well, it's not too complex. I think a lot of people think of video gamers as that character. I think it's Warlock from Live Free or Die Hard, and he's a guy who eats Cheetos by himself in the basement and just like hacks into thing all the random times. He's a loner, and that is not my experience at all. I play with my brother. I play with my roommates in college.
It's social experience,
very
right?
social experience. So when my first job after college, was working with Stadia Ventures as a venture associate. Stadia Ventures is a sports and esports venture capital company, and I spent a lot of time looking at early stage startups in both sports and esports spaces. And what I noticed was a lot of the stuff out there either catered to the individual experience that I have nothing like that Warlock kind of experience that I don't know much about. Or it catered to the professional side. It catered to that very small amount of people who played professionally or were trying to get their stats better or be trained or all sorts of stuff in that area. And what I thought was, hey, there's that 103 million people who play rec leagues or recreational video gaming, and they're completely unaddressed. So my co-founder and I, Byron, we both left Stadia in order to create it because we couldn't find it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's solving your own problem in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So talk to me about kind of the growth strategy here, right? Because obviously esports is growing like crazy. We're hearing a lot about the professional side. Are you finding it's as simple as just telling people that this exists, and then they're going, "Wow, this makes sense for us," or what are you doing to promote it?
Well, it's not quite that easy because it's about finding the right person.
But
the honest, my honest response to that is people are searching for this.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we talk to organizations that already run rec leagues, and we say, hey, why don't you run esports as well? We'll be the service behind that. So that conversation, like with college intramural departments already, is a really interesting and almost easy conversation because they're like, we know esports is this term people are throwing around. We know the kids on campus are playing it. How can we engage them with campus community and create like a community for them around what they already love. And
Right.
when we say, hey, here's a turnkey way to do it, the rec directors are usually like, oh, that is awesome. Let's do this right now.
Yeah.
So that conversation's great. But that's also one by one, finding the rec directors at the colleges
Of course.
across the states, and that just takes time. So what we're really looking for is scalable partners, basically recreational groups that are across the country that have national scale that can say, hey, let's roll this out in multiple different areas at once. So that is partners across college rec, that's partners across community rec, like YMCA's, Boys and Girls Club, so on.
Sure.
Like those two alone have like 7,000 locations
Wow.
across the US, and they're excited about bringing kids in on where they're at and then offering them other things as well.
Of course, yeah.
Not to mention team building and communication skills. But finding those partners allow us to scale a lot quickly, and we're working on a couple of exciting things now, and I'm excited to talk more about them when I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense because, I mean, in my experience, video games, you do have that community, but it's kind of like a few people, and it's the same people all the time, right? And so I love this idea, especially on the college campus or the YMCA type situation, where you have that group, and then you also start interacting with other groups of people, and exposes you to other people, exposes you to other sports opportunities, other ways to get involved. So it's really cool. It's a great gateway to good things, right?
Right. And the interesting part is, like, yes, you're only playing with that small group of people that you're used to, but the reality is there's 103 million people who play together, but there's 164 million people in the U.S., adults actually in the U.S., who play video games at all.
Yeah.
And when you take out the U.S. population who's above like say 60,
Sure.
and below being an adult, 18 and under. Like, that's a lot of people. That's 164 million people of a very small amount. So you look around, there's a good chance that 3 out of every 4 people you see,
Right.
that are in your peer group are playing games, and it's
Sure.
just a matter of having the structure behind it to connect with that community properly.
Yeah, it's not the guy in the basement. It's literally everyone around you at this point, right? There's
Right.
no avoiding video games anymore.
Right.
Very cool. Well, I think the most important question is, how does somebody sign up, right? So how do
Right.
they get involved in this?
Well, the key for us now is you have to be a part of one of the organizations we serve in order to join one of these leagues. We're constantly expanding on that. You can download our app and see if there's an organization there that you're a part of. So in St. Louis, this might include the Boys and Girls Club or a YMCA or one of the colleges here in the area.
All right.
But nationwide, we'll be rolling out some pretty cool partnerships that allow pretty much anybody to join, at local organizations that are close to them.
Awesome.
You can always follow us on social media, check out our site, sign up for our mailing list to find out when we launch the stuff that allows everybody to get on. So missioncontrol.gg or Mission Control GG on any platform.
All right, easy enough, and it sounds like soon enough there'll be a league almost anywhere you go that you can sign up for. So
It's
awesome.
we're moving fast, and there's a lot of people excited about it. So we're looking forward to the next couple steps.
Cool. Well, awesome. We're going to switch gears a little bit now, and we're going to invite Eric onto the show. Eric's the founder of Bourbon Friday, and he's going to tell us why he selected this particular bourbon for us this week.
So, as I always try to connect the bourbon with the guest, it was kind of a little bit hard to connect esports.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I know that you're into all kinds of games and not just video games and esports. So if you'll indulge me, I'll do a little bit of 6 degrees of separation.
All right, let's do it.
So initially, I was trying to get a different bottle of bourbon, and that was benchmark Old Number 8. Couldn't find that in St. Louis right now, and that's fine. So I'll have to go 1 degree away, which is Old Charter 8. It's still made by Buffalo Trace, still 8. And so I picked that out, and the reason I did that was because there's another Old 8 that came up in my research, and this was the favorite brand of a character in a game, of a fake brand called Scotty Boulder's Old Number 8 Whiskey. And that character was Jim Raynor, a character created by Chris Metzen and James Finney of a small company called Blizzard Entertainment.
Small company.
Small, tiny company that makes World of Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft, and it was his favorite bourbon. He referred to it, or his favorite whiskey. He referred to it in the game. He was a major protagonist in the game as his favorite drink, and this game is StarCraft 2, which at one point was the largest esport and really gets credit for introducing esports to the entire world.
Wow, that's a fascinating connection. That's a really good connection.
Yeah.
You're underselling how good that connection was.
You do a lot of research typically, but that was probably one of the best explanations of how you got to the bourbon.
I came up with the
I've
6
ever
degrees
heard.
of separation thing like maybe an hour ago.
That's a good
I'll be honest.
framing for how you got there. I like it. So I know we're in the holidays. Do we have any events coming up though? I mean,
No, there aren't any events coming up.
Okay, cool.
We don't have Bourbon Friday next week. Venture Cafe, I believe, is canceled for 2 weeks.
Okay.
We are back here for Bourbon Friday on January 3rd.
Okay.
Guests to be announced, or we may just do a best of episode.
Sure.
I know I've had a couple requests to actually do that. So
we've been on long enough now to do one of those,
yes.
right?
This is the 92nd episode.
Wow.
There you go.
Awesome.
A lot to choose from.
And then, if you have an event, email us at events@bourbonfriday.show.
Cool. All right. Good stuff. Well, Eric, as always, thank you. Enjoyed the story today. Good stuff. Austin, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great conversation. Yeah. For those of you tuning in, we do want to thank a couple organizations for supporting us here at Bourbon Friday. That would obviously be Kovo for hosting us on the event every single week. Thank you to EQ for sharing your audience with us and helping us spread the word. And thank you, at this case, again to Ian Brown, who's back this week, helping us out by streaming behind the camera and recording everything for us. So this is the Bourbon Friday Show. We are here every Friday at 3 o'clock. Please tune in again next week, or actually in a couple weeks, and we will see you then. Thanks for watching.
Hey, thanks for watching. We truly hope you enjoyed it. Please like and share this episode, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. To stay up to date, follow us on social. We are at Bourbon Fridays on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. See you next time.